Charles Schwab, well, they laid down the law. The company's head wrote a letter to the Wall Street Journal complaining about high-frequency trading and how it's hurting individual investors. So I'm joining with Jim Cramer. Jim, we were just talking about this, about how the SEC seems to be very, conflicted in how they address really fair trading in the market. And Schwab is saying, you know what, no more. We're going to be the ones to step up and say this is wrong and you need to fix it.
This shocked me because no one has spoken up from the industry. The industry seems to be silent until today. Now, David Faber, my colleague on Squawk on the Street, immediately points out, Deborah, oh, well, obviously he's conflicted because he represents individual investors. But what's interesting is ever since the fall of Dick Grasso, who championed individual investors, there hasn't been anyone who has stepped forward. So the pressure on the SEC has been always to innovate, let innovation, let financial engineering, high-frequency trading. There's never been a credible voice against that. So the SEC has always kind of been, well, listen, no one's really lobbying against this stuff. Suddenly Charles Schwab surfaces, and I wonder if this isn't the beginning of an assault that's from a very high level against high-frequency trading, augmented by some of the work that my friend Eamon Javers has been doing at CNBC, talking about certain people getting information faster. All of these things to me are kind of like someone's legal insider trading. I don't buy legal insider trading.
Well, I think you hit on a good point. There is a lot of pressure to be quiet because everyone's afraid of talking bad about the New York Stock Exchange, who is kind of, playing within the rules, but not by charging people like Goldman Sachs to get an early look at trades. And so no one wants to say anything bad because they don't want to upset the New York Stock Exchange or pick on the big giant, which is Goldman Sachs. But at the same time, listen, if you get to see trades early, that is insider trading.
I agree. I think the government has started to look at this issue. The SEC started to look at this issue. I think Schwab's editorial will make it so that there's more of a focus on it. The retail investor isn't really a factor anymore. They used to be really important. They were worth protecting. That's something Dick Grasso used to say, that's the bedrock. Well, the bedrock's disappeared because there's been these issues that, Schwab is talking about why they've left, why they're leaving, why they've left. And a lot of this is because the interests are very powerful. The high-frequency traders are very powerful. Plus, they're very good at saying that they're good, they're forces of good. Schwab defrocks them here. Will others follow? Schwab is not conflicted in the sense that they're not trying to get the high-frequency trading business. Now, he'll be discredited immediately by the high-frequency traders. He'll tell you, hey, listen, we add to...
well, the stock exchange says that they say, look, if we didn't have that business, we would be out of business. Right. And they keep saying they need this money to keep things going. Right. But it's the SEC is looking at companies like Thomson Reuters for giving people, some data early, but yet they let Goldman Sachs get away with money.
Well, I think they shouldn't. I think that the institution of the SEC should relook at all of this. Relook at all the financial engineering, see if it was any good. Because remember, Schwab also talks about the glitches, the flash crash. Individual investors, I dedicated the street when I founded it to individual investors, and Mad Money's about individual investors, and what we do here is about individual investors, but it's a dying breed. It's just a dying breed, and we found out in a very eloquent way why it's dying, and unless the SEC reverses what I regard as being too much financial engineering, then it's just going to keep dying, and Schwab's voice will be lonely and meaningless. I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, hopefully, like Jim said, here at The Street, we can start to champion the individual investor, hopefully bring them back to the table, because it is certainly not an equal playing field where the SEC is concerned.